do you think there should be lifetime appointments for members of the Supreme Court? And do you support any of the other proposals that have been advanced by some of these Republican presidential candidates who are traveling around the state to limit the authority of the Supreme Court?
Well, I think that the lifetime appointments are coming into question now. And when you see a president consider nominating someone to the Supreme Court, and first they have to go get a physical to determine what the actuarial figures say on how long they'll be able to sit in that seat in the Supreme Court, that's really not one of the components that you should be thinking about when you pick a justice for the Supreme Court. So I say instead that this is real heavy workload lift to write a constitutional amendment to make these changes. But I think it has merit, and as hard as it is, I think we should have an open discussion on this and see if we can create the energy in America to amend the Constitution and get these judges so that they're up for, say, election or re-election every 8 to 10 years. So what we've done, we are drafting, and we're drafting a constitutional amendment that breaks the country up into eight separate sections that would elect their justice as out of the electors that are elected for the president. And then the Chief Justice would be elected by electors nationwide, and then they would turn over every 8 to 10 years or so as the sequence is set up. I think that gives the breadth of each region having a justice, and yet it keeps the accountability there in the public and gives them a sense of tenure, so regardless, because they'll be long terms. I think that's a better solution, but we know how hard it is to amend the Constitution.
So does that mean the justices are going to be essentially regional politicians who raise money and have super PACs and go with whatever the poll is of the week?
That's a pretty quick take-up of that, Kathy.
Well, you said elect, so that's what I'm wondering. How far are we going to go, or how political are we going to make these Supreme Court justices?
Well, you can only raise as much money as there's interest there to write the check. So I don't know if it's important enough to America that there'll be a lot of money raised to elect these justices. At least we would have an open discussion on that, and at least we'd have a chance to vote them out of office. I would rather have that than to be stuck with these transformative decisions that come from a rogue court. And remember, I've always made these arguments on the legal and the constitutional grounds, not on the social grounds of this. I disagreed with the Iowa Supreme Court's decision in Varnum v. Bryan because of the decision. And if it was a decision of the legislature, I would say that's constitutional, go ahead. But Chief Justice Roberts and others decided they could write words into Obamacare on Thursday, and on Friday they decided they could create new rights in the Constitution. That's a rogue court. And bad decisions made by the rogue court have thrown this country into some very painful turmoils, including over slavery, over prayer in the public schools, over abortion, and now we're here with, we can write words into Obamacare and we can create new rights to same-sex marriage.